Well, hey there, Cynthia here. Welcome to my quilt lab where I am working on this block of the month called Symphony. It's by Banyan Batiks of Northcott. It's created by the amazing duo of Linda J. Hahn and Deborah G. Stanley of Frog Hollow Designs. Thank you, ladies, for this awesome pattern. It's a very beginner friendly, and I am actually working on this neutral colorway, although they have a bright colorway out there, so be sure you look around for that too. We are in month number 4. That's right, block number 4, and it is so much fun. Look at this cute little block. Let's dive in, and I'll talk all about it. Let's go. Come on. Let's go. All right, so this block number 4, is called Small Jewel. Isn't it sweet? It's so pretty. We're going to be making this block twice in 2 different colorways. So it's 4 blocks, 2 colorways, 4 blocks. And I know what you're thinking. You're looking at this and you're thinking, boy, that's a lot of really small pieces. And it is, but let me just throw out a few tips to help, stomp down some of that fear, because it's a really simple piecing block. So when you go to cut these out, make sure you have a really fresh new blade. Let this be a reminder. If you can't remember the last time you put in a blade in your rotary cutter, go ahead and do that right now, because that'll help getting a nice even cut. Press everything. Press all that fabric nice and flat. Maybe use some starch or some best press so you get some nice good clean cuts. And then if you haven't checked your 1/4 of an inch seam to make sure it's nice and pretty, that'll be key into making this block nice and pretty as well. So those are my couple of my tips that I'm going to throw out. In this block, there's basically 2 subsections to make the big block. The first section is there's a little 4 piece, and you'll see those in the 4 corners plus the middle. And then in the north, south, east, west blocks, it's a rectangle with the rectangles have a little half square triangle put on top of it, so it folds over and looks like this over here. Very easy. Let's dig in and get going. So this is the block A, so that's the one of the 2 colorings on the neutral side. You can see I still have my labels on there to show you what it looks like. I always have a representation, either it laid out, one finished, or my picture next to me, because that's going to be key in making sure that we put all of the colors in the right way, because you'll notice there's a diagonal that needs to happen with that color number 12 in this block. So I like to keep it all laid out and ready to go. So this is my exploded version. I like to lay it out, make it all nice and flat so I can keep coming back to it. And I'll just do one little mini block at a time and then come back. So let's get the easy one out of the way first. I think it's the little 4 patch. You're going to take all these to the machine and you're going to stitch them. I liked to press to the dark side, so when I press it open, and that way both sides are pressed to that dark side. It's going to nest really pretty. And let me show you the back side. So you can see that it was pressed towards that dark side, so it nested right up there in the middle. And then I opened up that seam just because I wanted it nice and flat there in the middle. Up to you whether or not you want to open that up, but those are my tips. So let's dig in and do our 4 blocks first, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the second block. To the machine! All right, so we have our little 4 patches done. Aren't they cute? We are gonna maybe need to square them down if necessary, so I'm just throwing that out there. Some of them I've had to, some of them I have been perfect, so I'm just letting you know that that needs to be a 2.5 inch square. So if you need to square them down, go ahead and do that. Let's move on to the fun other block. It's the 2 rectangles, and then on top of the ends of the rectangles are going to be half square triangles. And so you've noticed I have already drawn a line on the diagonal of all the little squares all the way around, and I'm pointing them in the direction that the picture shows. So remember how I talked about placement of fabric is key? Notice that they're going in kind of different directions. It's not all the same. It's not all beige gray, beige gray. It flip-flops. So, and then each of them does a point. So it's kind of like a square in the middle of this square. So please pay attention to that. That's why I recommend laying everything out and having it, you know, someplace where you can easily see. So again, I'm going to do all these one at a time. I'm going to lay that square right on top of that rectangle. I'm going to throw a pin in just to make sure it doesn't go anywhere while I make my way to the sewing machine. And I'll stitch on that drawn diagonal line, and then I'll cut away the extra so that when this flips open, it'll be that cute little point that we're looking for. Okay, so do each block one at a time. That's what I recommend, because I did this the first time and I had a couple places where they were transposed. So don't be like Cynthia, do it this way and make sure that you get everything going in the right direction. All right, so let's go and let's do our north, south, east, and west blocks, and then we will come back and we'll talk about putting the block together in its final position. All right, to the machine. All right, there's our blocks. We got our little 4 patches. We got our little pointers and the north, south, east, west blocks. I did just double check and make sure everything was a pretty 2.5, just to make sure. I had a couple little places, but most of them were spot on, guys. So all the tips I gave you at the beginning will help out when you get to this part. All right, so now we just have a 9 patch, right? We just got to put them together first in rows and then together in a block. Let me grab the finished one that I have so I can show you the back side of it. So there's the top, there's the bottom. You'll see that I pressed towards the 4 patch and then I opened up the 2 seams there in the middle. I pressed towards that 4 patch because it'll nest right there in those 4 corners in the center. Move this out of the way. And things to watch out for would include this guy right here. Remember, this is supposed to be 1/4 inch in. So it'll match up right where that cross is in the 4 patch. All right, so if you want to go in and do a little trick of marking that 1/4 inch in on the flip side, that way you know where to aim that pin when you go to pin them together. So I'll do that really quick. Grab a pin. Put it through and look. Pretty darn perfect, right? So I'll pin that. I'll take that to the machine. And yeah, we'll move on. We'll do rows first. Then we'll put the rows together in a big block, and I'll see you at the end with another finished block 4A. To the machine. And there it is, the finished small jewel block A of month 4 or block 4. Remember, you're making 2 of these, and there is a 4B as well that you're going to be making. So only 4 blocks this month. That's good. It's a little reprieve from the previous months. I can't wait for you to join me in month 5. We're going to have some more fun. Give these guys a nice little starch. Set them aside. And if you found this video to be informational, hey, I'd love a thumbs up or give me a comment in the descriptions below. And I love answering those questions as well. And I hope to join you next time in my quilt lab. And as always, keep quilting.